Hello everyone, my name is Jaco van Gas and I am a two-time Paralympic champion. I am delighted to welcome you to this Paralympic series special of the Beyond Disability podcast, where we will be talking all about the exciting upcoming games and you will hear from some incredible athletes. So make sure that you click the follow button to never miss an episode, and I hope you enjoy.
Hello, good day, people of the world. Welcome to today's Paralympic special of the Beyond Disability podcast. My name is Ollie Hill. I'm a Paralympic snowboarder representing Great Britain, and I'm also joined by a fellow Great Britain, Callum Du Bois, part of the Para-Nordic skiing team for the Great British people. And we're here today just to have a general chit chat and get to know each other, really. Find out a bit about what's been going on before, I guess, world of Paralympic sport, life being an athlete, and I guess what makes us tick in between all the times we're out competing. So, how you doing today, Callum? You good, mate?
I'm all right, thank you. Yourself?
Doing all right, thank you, sir. What's the weather like where you are? I'm in a beautiful sunny outside bit, so if it gets a bit windy, just let me know, and I'll have to relocate to another area.
Yeah, no problem at all. Well, I'm currently in my kitchen, so we'll not have any problems. But yeah, the weather's pretty grim. Obviously, I'm from Scotland, so that is to be expected. Nothing we don't already know. So yeah.
So what was life like growing up in Scotland? And I guess it would be good if you wouldn't mind just giving us a bit of a background, bit of history about you and what you do in it.
Yeah, so for me, growing up, I grew up in the countryside. I grew up in a little village, so I was always outside, like doing sport, staying active. Yeah, just anything to get outdoors, really. But life was good.
So how did you get into skiing then?
So I started skiing when I was 21. I'd never been on snow on a set of skis before losing my leg in a motorcycle accident. So after losing my leg, I thought, well, what kind of better way to get on snow?
And growing up in Scotland, you probably get a bit more snow than we do in the UK. Did you ever have any opportunities to do any, I guess, plank related sports when you were growing up, or like any inline skating or anything like that? Obviously, I guess there's a lot of ways to go after having an accident getting into sports. So why skiing?
I guess Scotland being the home of curling, you would think that you'd get loads of opportunity to get on like skis or get on snow, but I'd literally never really been on snow. The kind of best thing that I'd done when I was younger was sledging. That was about it. But I guess my sport isn't far off sledging.
Have you always been into like sports and fitness and stuff though? Because I mean, I give a lot of credit to what you guys do. It's definitely not a type of sport that I could probably pursue. I'm not that much into hard work, to be honest, mate.
I mean, for me growing up, I was always a hard worker. And I'd seen Para-Nordic and met another Paralympian. And he told me sort of all about Para-Nordic and that it was pretty much one of the hardest para sports you could do. And me being the hard worker that I am, I thought, well, that sounds like a little bit of me. So I pretty much just sort of, went away, gave it a shot and found it kind of really hard challenge and thought I'd just give it a go. And here we are.
So like, in terms of having your accident to when you started to think that you wanted to get into Para-Nordic skiing and then obviously going through that process, could you talk to us a bit about like the timescales between that, and I guess were there any major steps along the way that you had to overcome, or any kind of breakthrough moments that you could talk about with us?
Yeah, so for me, I had my accident in 2017, and I was in a coma for a month. And I got my leg amputated whilst in the coma. So I woke up like a month later, having one leg. So as you can imagine, it was a bit of a shock. Um,
How
but
long
I
did it
spent,
take them to tell you? Or how long did it take you to realise waking up?
so like I said, I was in a coma for a month and it got amputated about a week into the coma.
Wow.
Just because I'd broke my leg that badly that I severed one of my arteries. So I pretty much woke up, and I woke up and obviously I seen like the lights of the hospital because I was lying flat on my back, because I broke my back as well, so I couldn't really move that
Wow.
much. But I was on that much medication that I woke up and I thought I still had my motorcycle boots on, and I was getting really annoyed and I was shouting at all the nurses to try and cut one of my to try and cut my leathers off. But obviously I didn't
Wow.
have anything on. I think now it was a phantom limb pain, but as I started to come round more, I just felt like my left leg still had my boots on, so I was shouting at everyone to come cut it off, and then it wasn't until my dad came in, he found the worst pair of scissors imaginable and just like cut along where my leg used to be, and it just gave me like instant relief. So
So,
that was like a pretty a big kind of moment. I feel like it's always stuck with me.
and so was
From
that
that.
like, do you remember that being quite instantaneous from like waking up in the coma, like from the coma?
I feel like it was quite an instantaneous moment, because I went from like a state of like unconsciousness to consciousness, like all of a
Mhm.
sudden. But
Yeah,
again,
yeah, yeah.
you come round out of it and kind of get the senses back, and yeah, it's a very weird feeling. It is just
Dude,
like waking up, but obviously you've been asleep for a month. Pretty
dude,
long.
I've that's like I've always had conversations, like with Owen, for example, about how like 'cause he was in a bit of a similar way to you, like in that he lost it in war getting blown up, but he was sort of like half in and half out of consciousness and had a process to go through before kind of, I might be paraphrasing a bit slightly, but even other people I've spoken to that have had bike accidents, car accidents, that sort of stuff, and like come around from having a coma, and obviously, typically speaking, traditionally speaking, a lot more injuries as well than just having an amputated leg as a result. And what a conundrum to have to face, right? To wake up and obviously realize that all of that has happened, and obviously that you got a leg missing, that you've had to amputate during the process, and kind of having to come to all of that. I suppose in a lot of ways, mine just came off in that accident, and I was awake the whole time, and it was like the only real thing that was wrong with me injured wise. So I had the kind of complete opposite, where I probably had all the choices in the world to think about getting them to put things back on or whatever, but ultimately that was out of my control. But like watching it all happen and stuff, it was like that's one thing in itself, right? It's like two different types of PTSD.
Yeah. Yeah,
For
I
sure.
guess the hard part with yours is you remember everything. You remember being in that moment, which I guess I don't know. I don't want to put kind of words in your mouth, but I imagine that must have been pretty traumatic to deal with, seeing that all and actually living it and remembering it. Where for me, I totally blacked out my accident. I don't remember a thing. I remember leaving the house in the morning and then waking up. There's just a big
Yeah.
blank space in my life.
Wow. Did you have a very similar story to someone that come to see me in hospital who was a friend of mine, who was a friend of a friend who's a bike racer, and I knew my friend through bike racing, and he came to see me, and he had an accident on the road. Someone hit into him, and he mashed himself out real bad as a result, but had a coma, came around from the coma, leg was gone, all that sort of stuff, and that took him like a real long time to get over. Whilst mine's more like so, like used to be like reliving the moment as it happens and stuff, but like I wouldn't necessarily wake up in like a cold sweat, being maybe like he'd
Mm.
wake up in like cold sweats where he's just come around out of like a PTSD type thing, and that was just like waking up from a dream every day sort of thing,
But yeah, luckily for me, I didn't really almost have that like PTSD sort of thing because I don't know what it was. Like my brain just blocked it out. So for me, I'm in a lot of ways I'm really lucky, and I think that's what helped me sort of get over it so quickly. I don't
Yeah,
know how
that's
long
amazing.
I don't know how long it took you to come to terms with it, but for me, in the hospital, once I knew about it. Like I literally got over it within like 2 or 3 days. I was just like, well,
That's
it's happened.
that's incredible. Do you know, like that's because it was going to be something I was going to ask you, and sort of as a leading question was like the next bit about the recovery and like dealing with the actual, I guess, the mental and the physical trauma of it. You know, you obviously mentioned already about waking up with some phantom pain as such, or what you now would call it as phantom pain. But yeah, getting over the mental side of it as well. It's really good to hear that you were able to get over it so quickly, and your reasoning being that you just didn't really have any memory and stuff, and
Yeah.
there's no other better way to face it, sort of thing. Did you have anybody that you knew that was an amputee or that had been through something similar that you could speak to?
So my papa actually used to be an amputee. He had his
Oh
leg
wow.
amputated. He had the same leg amputated when he was 21. So we were
Wow.
both 21. I never met him, but my mum and dad had always told me about him.
Wow.
But other than that, I didn't actually really know many people. And for me, I was quite lucky. Like when I came around at the hospital and stuff, there was like all my friends and stuff were there. But also there's an amputee charity called Finding Your Feet who also pick up stuff, following like amputations and stuff, and obviously they quickly kind of swooped in and helped to come to terms with things and deal with things, which is quite nice. And it sort of went full circle with them because I'm now an ambassador for them, which is pretty cool. I mean, I don't
Oh,
know.
that's really stoked. That's
I mean, I don't know if you had anyone like that, kind of come in and help you, or what was the best kind of thing for you after amputation?
well. So so first off, yeah, there are some really amazing charities and organisations out there that will do anything they can to try and help people going through kind of any stage of the process. And to be honest, I don't know even remotely any of them as much as I should do. But there's loads of support available for people that don't have anybody or any way of to access any sort of information or someone to talk to. But for me personally, I was really lucky, dude. I've always said to so many people how lucky I was going through this process because I used to race motorbikes before doing the snowboarding, and I had a mate of mine that I used to race with in the same bike series who was a double below knee amputee. So he had both his legs blown off, but had his knees still. And
Wow.
he had, yeah, and that was in Iraq or Afghanistan. I can't remember which. But his name's Murray Hambro, and yeah, dude, like I knew him from before when I used to race bikes, so before I had my accident, and just like seeing him and knowing somebody beforehand that was still doing like one of the most passionate sports that I love was such a big helping hand. And like we weren't we got to be friends over the period of racing, and admittedly hadn't spoke
Mhm.
to him for a while. I reached out to him in hospital, dude, within the first couple of days, and just said like, you wouldn't believe what's happened, sort of thing, and obviously just explain what's going on. And dude, he just turned around and said to me like everything that you can and want to do and love to do sport wise and all that sort of stuff you'll be able to do still. He's like it would just be a time thing, and he's like, so don't worry about it as such. He's like, just trust that you'll be able to do it. And he's like, but trust listen to your body and how quickly you can kind of move on with it. And he's like, whether it takes a year or 10 years, like I promise you'll be able to do everything. And just like hearing that from him was kind of everything I needed at the time. And then subsequently, I just mentioned also I had another friend come to visit who had been involved in a bike accident and lost his leg below the knee, same as yours. And he was still racing motocross. He didn't do so much like road racing anymore, but like yeah, still racing motocross, still out on his road bikes and stuff, still riding mountain bikes. And it's like wow, sweet. And then dude, I came across Owen and the guys on the British para snowboard team.
Yeah.
'Cause I was meant to go snowboarding a few days after my accident. So that was like right at the forefront of my mind. In fact, actually, when my leg come off, it's a bit, I don't know what laugh, but when my leg come off, I watched it snap sideways before it like ripped itself off, and then
Oh man.
in the time it took to break from it to break for it to come off, I was like, OSH, that one. I'm not going to go snowboarding anymore. And then disappeared from me, and then I had to have a lot of stuff to figure out and realize what I needed to, you know. Uh, obviously, I stopped thinking about snowboarding so much, but there was a little moment where I was like, oh, damn it, because you again coming from doing bike racing and being a bit of a lunatic, you have these moments when you break stuff and then you're like, oh damn, I can't do this anymore. Ah, damn it, it was all going so well, and then you kind of
Yeah.
to realize what's going on.
Yeah, you are a madman, and there seems to be a common theme here with me, you, and motorbikes, eh?
Yeah, dude. Well, there's just a common theme with, I think, people that still want to pursue all these extreme sports afterwards. So,
Well, that's true. Well, we all need to have a few screws loose, don't we? Makes life more exciting.
yeah, dude, that's exactly it. And dude, I tell you what. So, I didn't actually realize that your accident was so soon. I thought you'd been a little bit longer without all of your body parts than you have been. So, was Beijing your first games, or had you been to Pyeongchang as well?
So Beijing was my first Paralympics. So
Oh, right.
yeah, and when Pyeongchang was on, I'd not long had my leg amputated, or it was
I,
about
I still
five,
had
six
two legs.
months. Yeah, yes. So it was a bit wild, like suddenly going from being this like able-bodied person to then kind of even thinking about like going to a Paralympics. Like I never thought in a million years that I'd have the opportunity to go to a Paralympics, let alone qualify in a
Right.
sport class in a Paralympics. So yeah, just like well, the accident just turned life in its head. So I guess it's just the way you approach it. And for me, like after my accident, sport was very much the first thing that I jumped straight back into, like the
Yeah.
power of
Yeah.
sport, to like
It's
healing.
incredible.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like for me, just getting into like the gym or getting out on my bike or something was just the most freeing thing
Just want to be
because
normal
like
again, don't you? And
yeah,
sport's
because like
one of the most humbling ways to do that.
100%. Because I felt like people were kind of crowding around me, expecting me to be sad, expecting me to be like this fragile man now. So like I guess sport was a good outlet to show people that I'm strong and that I can go and pursue whatever I want. I don't know
So
if sport was a big thing for you as well, or
massive, massive. It was the first thing all I could think about doing. It was the first thing, main thing I did. I went snowboarding 5 months after my accident, I think, roughly. I got my leg in about four, and then I did a few little like I don't know. I went up to Milton Keynes to Hemel Hempstead to the indoor place. Like literally fell down every single turn of the run, but I made it down and I thought, I need to go and actually do it on a real thing, and then started it from there. I went about a month later during Easter and literally just ate 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 that word again for quite a while.
I was
Spent
I was
about two.
waiting for that to come out there.
I spent about 2 days on my ass, fully on my ass, mate. Just like falling over all the time because I didn't really have anyone teaching me, and obviously I'm a bit gun ho crazy anyway, so I was just like, I'll figure it out. And then I had a couple of cervezas at lunchtime, and then I think that's what loosened me up enough just to sort of have enough stuff click. And then once it clicked, I was off. I was off. But mate, I was so surprised how easy some sports are to relearn. And
Yeah.
how hard some admittedly are, but how easy some are to learn. Riding a bike, dude, was like I'd never left it, which I was
Yeah, I was the
mad
exact
about.
same. I was the exact same. So I cycle. I just jump on my bike. So I jumped on my bike with like my prosthetic leg on.
Yeah.
And every time I would do that, it would fall off. And this is not a leg made by Dorset Orthopedics through the NHS leg. Just clearing that up there. But so every time I cycled with it, it just fell off. So it was
For all
like,
your needs, go to Dorset Orthopedic, where legs don't fall off and screws are tight
yeah.
with a Loctite. This was
So
not a
I
paid
got that
advertisement.
fed up with it falling off that I was just like, do you know what? I'm just leaving it home. I'm just gonna jump on my bike without it. And like as you said, like the like
Did you do
neural
it?
pathways just are still there, and it just your body just adapts. Like it's wild.
How come yours was falling off?
So like I'm above the knee.
Oh, of course you are. Sorry, mate.
So like just the
Get that.
like angle of like when it was going round was just, I don't know, causing it to lose suction.
Yeah.
And it would just pop off. And also it's just added weight. I've got to use my missing limbs to my advantage. Don't need to drag about an artificial limb that weighs 10 kilos.
Is that different on a motorbike as well? Or is that what's that focused around?
So I mean, I've not been back on a motorbike since my accident, sadly. Um, I mean, I have intentions of doing it, but my mum has other intentions of me doing it. And I know right now you're going to be thinking, how do I get this lad back on a motorbike? Um,
Of course I am.
that was the next progression. I guess we're going to have to meet up after this podcast and make it happen, Ollie.
So your journey going into skiing then, can you talk to us about like how did you find the team? How did you get onto the team? How did you get your big break, your chance in being able to get into skiing? Because I know that's obviously what a lot of people that would listen to it are going to want to find out. How
Yeah,
can you
man.
get started?
So for me, a lot of it was just being in the right place at the right time. Um, so I'd like after the accident, I'd been looking for anything like sport related to kind of dive into and give a shot. And luckily for me, a lad Scott Mina, who had just been to Pyeongchang, came into like Westmark, so like the prosthetic centre, which is like the NHS one, basically to show me and another lad how to kind of make the most out of your microprocessor leg. So he took it like a walk around the hospital, and then we sort of just got chatting. Um, about sport and kind of opportunities. And he kind of put the wheels in motion to get me an opportunity to try Paranordic skiing. And I'd also tried rowing as well, and just so happened to be that I met his old rowing coach. So it all just kind of like fell into place by just being in the right place at the right time. And then pretty much went off to Germany about a month after meeting Scott. Um, spent a week in the snow tunnel with Scott and the Armed Forces Para Snow Sports team. And yeah, pretty
What a
much.
great bunch of lads the Armed Forces support team are.
Yeah,
Great little feeding group as well for Pete for a lot of the disciplines that we have.
they're amazing. And even now they still have influence in the Paranordic squad. And like obviously I'm not forces, but they kind of help facilitate things for me. They obviously I had to pay my own way, but just being able to kind
They're
of
happy to
jump in
try
the
and
van
help,
with the
aren't they?
guys.
It seems bring people along and into part of things to give them an avenue. We've got a couple of new snowboarders coming through from the Armed Forces. Um,
Like
like
it's
we've
such
got
an incredible thing, like because they have a lot of funding and obviously there's no lack of veterans, so yeah, they're a really good feeder for sport, aren't they? Like a lot of British athletes are from the forces.
yeah, and I think they also serve as a really good community to help each other as well. Because like obviously losing your leg in that motorbike accident, car accident, whatever it might be, is still one thing. Having it in war is I can imagine in some cases like horrific, and to have a community of people together that are kind of helping each other through other aspects of life is also so important. And obviously part of being in sport and what we forget about, sorry, is meeting all like-minded, like same people. It becomes such a norm to us to be who we are and like to be, have something have happened or be born with a disability as such. Whilst there's such a huge amount of people that don't have that, you know, haven't
Mm.
been around that, haven't had that normalized to them, and confidence issues, whatever it is, anxiety, what it must be so many people that suffer from that. And definitely a lot of those institutions really help in those areas too. And I think would have had that too, right? From the organizations and the charities that were helping, or the one you mentioned that was helping you. Find Your Feet, it was, yeah?
Yeah, find your
Yeah,
feet.
yeah, sweet. Well, do you feel like that with and do you know if they have any sort of ways of helping people getting into sport if they ever um find a passion they want to follow?
So like I don't know about you, but like sport and the whole thing that I was doing just gave me a sense of like community. Which often when I don't know, you have like a traumatic injury and then lose a limb, you can become quite isolated. So for me, it put me out there and gave me a reason to get out of bed in the morning. I think that was the biggest thing. Um, kind of post amputation was just kind of getting out and getting in that um training environment, just getting to chat to people and just kind of share stories and again when you spend a lot of time with veterans and stuff that have been to these war situations, you get really humbled. Like I lost my leg in a motorcycle accident, and not that it doesn't compare, but like it's just yeah, it's crazy what some people go through. So it gives
Yeah.
I guess it gives you a real sense of that your situation's not that bad.
I totally agree, dude. And I've also learned that the more people I've talked to, there's I've met so many people who have had so many different ways of accidents or being born with conditions, etc. That you know, there's when you talk to some people and they're like, "Oh, would you? But you still ride bikes and stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, hell yeah, I do. That's what I love. Like, if I couldn't do it, I wouldn't be living. There's not much point doing anything otherwise, sort of thing." And they're like, "Well, but it would scare you." And then you're like, "Doesn't it scare you and stuff?" And you're like, "Well, if you come from doing bike racing and stuff, you get used to injuries. And I've had so many injuries before all of this, and I'll continue to have so many afterwards. Um, that's just the way it is for me. But when you've met like people that have had accidents, is just like getting hit by a car that's come up the side of the road, or all these different crazy ways that you kind of realize that you just got to go and live life as well. Um,
100%.
because if you
If
don't,
you're
you're
not
just going to miss
living
out.
exactly, if you're not living, you're gonna miss out. And yeah, sometimes there's some hurdles along the way, but for me, it just makes it more exciting and like I don't know, yeah, adds to
The
the
mon the
story.
mundaneness, the mundaneness. So like if you grew up on bikes and stuff, what about injuries that you've had? I guess other injuries that you might have had before doing your legging, or particularly whilst skiing, like obviously in your sport. Have you had many or any crazy stories you want to tell us about?
So before my accident, I'd never broke a bone in my body. I'd split my head open about a million times.
Oh, you did
Broke
a
my
good job then, didn't you?
oh mate, honestly, I think I broke like total of 9 bones in one go. Um, don't do things by half. So yeah, that was a pretty big one. And then like skiing and stuff for me, it's not like we're Nordic skiing, so we're maybe not quite going the same speeds as like an alpine skier would be. So like there's not as many like broken legs or broken arms and stuff in my sport. It's more just like overuse injuries. So I mean, it's quite boring injuries, just like I don't know, ruptured kind of rotator cuff and stuff is quite a common one, just because we're so upper body dominant. Um, but in like 2021, I was out on a training ride on my bike, and I was coming down a hill, and a woman pulled out in front of me and stopped in the middle of the road.
I
So
remember.
I've hit into a car at about 30 mile an hour, um, and pretty much hit a car with my face,
Yeah.
bounced off the car, and then landed on my elbow. So I like ruptured my tricep tendon, and broke my nose, like cut all my face. So like that was what 6 months out from the Paralympics. So again, I thought my games experience was over. Gonna have to go for surgery, like loads of rehab. I mean that was a pretty wild one, and yeah, pretty annoying more than anything.
Yeah, I remember. See, and the thing is, like, that's happened in training, on a bike should be like one of the safest places to do anything.
A
You
hundred percent, man. Like, and the
Oh,
thing
dude.
is, you never know when or if something like that's gonna happen. And like you were saying before, like, that's why you've just got to live life. Like I didn't think going out training and stuff, I would be in a second bike accident, albeit on my push bike, and it'd been a lot slower. Um, I didn't expect it. So again, that's why I do what I do. Like that's why I want to go to the Paralympics. That's why I put myself out there because, like you say, like you just never know when your time's up. So you just got to enjoy it.
Dude, that's exactly it. Um, I want to know when I'm put in a box eventually that I've kind of done everything I can to keep myself happy and sustained, And once you're done anyway, aren't you? You don't want to be
Absolutely.
you don't want to be put in a box in like a mint piece, have you? Because then what's the point? We're all going to be eaten by bugs
Absolutely, man.
eventually anyway. So, um,
So yeah, what is like the process for you guys to get into the Paralympics? I know, like for me, I had to um kind of just set times that were of a certain standard in the world, and then we had like a second standard set by GB, just because they want to take good athletes to the games and kind of medal hopefuls. So like, what's it like for you guys?
yeah, good question. So for us, we, I believe the criteria. So our game selection is actually going to be this year. So as far as I'm aware at the minute, I think if we secure a podium throughout the season, in fact, the way that para snowboarding it looks like is being done is that we race in two disciplines, right? We race in bank slalom and we race in border cross, and so you have the same riders competing over both disciplines. And without getting too technical, we have different categories for different people depending on what disability you have. So for this selection, over this upcoming season, if any rider gets one podium at an event, effectively that will enable them to get an automatic qualification
Okay, wow.
and then the view will be that the top eight riders from each uh from each discipline throughout the season, sorry, the top eight through the season across both disciplines will get a space. So in theory, if I came first, for example, in border cross, I don't need to qualify for bank slalom. I've already qualified. So over that year, it's like the top eight that haven't qualified in each one. So 16 in total will go through. And then I think it will be like a country dependent decision afterwards. And that will either be trying to maybe push someone forward that's maybe had a bit of a shocker of a year, but they know has got podium potential. Maybe someone that's new that's come on that's showing really good signs that and that was kind of me in the last games is I only got sixth and seventh, I think, before the I know I got one podium actually. I lie, I got one podium, but I got a sixth and a seventh, and that was a sort of enough, if you like. Um, because they kind of had a hopeful, and we were a small team. So if we were like the American team, for example, that has like quite a lot of numbers and a big squad, then they're fighting for spots all the way up until like the last kind of last races of the games before we go to the games. So that was crazy, dude, because a lot of our homies were like stressing out, bro. Like going to world champs and having to put themselves on the line, over and above what's needed, or what you'd want to do, so close to an important competition, and especially in what we do sport wise, where there's a big risk of injury, or there is a risk of injury during a competition. So having to go so ham before major events isn't always the best thing to do. But then obviously it keeps you sharp too. Um,
Absolutely, man.
whilst you could argue that we could get complacent and we're just chilling, and then when it counts we gotta find it whilst they might have found it. So it differs, but that's how we go into this year. And then in terms of like getting onto like our team as such, we now have a development squad that we didn't have before. So when I joined in like 2020, or like, yeah, 2019, 2019, 2020 sort of thing, there was only one team. And so they took a bit of a gamble on me, to be honest with you, through training and through getting me to some competitions, because we were basically going into the important 2 years, and they wanted to make sure that whoever they took on, obviously they could put the right time and effort in, and it wasn't going to detract any quality of training from the other riders on the team.
Yeah.
But now we have this amazing development team that's being started, and it's being pushed through. A lot of the riders there have come from the armed forces support, and then Ali, who's the manager of the development team, he's doing such a great job just trying to find talent, from anywhere he can, really. So next couple of years will be really, really, really good to see how that all grows. And dude, some of them have started ripping already, and they've been joining us for Europa Cup races this year. I think in fact we've had one guy, Matt Hamilton, who's in JBM's category, in the upper limb category, who actually won the Europa Cup this year. Oh no, he won the NORAM, so it's the North American version. He happens to live in Canada, but representing us. And yeah, so dude, the quality of training that they're getting as well is showing through already. So big things to come.
That's incredible. That's good. It's good to see the sport growing, isn't it? Like for us, like we went from like one athlete in Pyeongchang to 5 athletes in Beijing, and yeah, having that like really small team community was like for me amazing. And obviously, like you said, it's a little bit easier for kind of games qualification because you're not having to kind of constantly fight each other for your spot. Because we can take like a total of 4 athletes.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
I'm like an LW12, which is like the least impaired, if you like, and then there's like an LW10 who is kind of the most impaired. So for us, we had 4 LW12s. So say there was another 5th person, like you would then have to be fighting for spots, which then gets quite competitive within the team. So for us as the games, it was quite good. Getting into sort of Para-Nordic again, we did have a really good development squad kind of coming through. We still do. And again, just reaching out to GB Snow Sports, I think is the best way to kind of find out more information on it. I would imagine that's pretty much the same as you guys. Like reach out on
dude,
GB Snow
absolutely.
Sports, and yeah, even contacting athletes, like the athletes that are already on the program, the ones that you're looking up to. For me, I think that's worth its weight in gold, because they've got direct connections within the sport. And I think just don't be afraid. If you want something, just ask the questions. You don't ask, you don't get.
Oh, absolutely, dude. And they're really, really, really appreciative of people coming forward and making the effort to be found, as opposed to having to be found. So that's what I did. I luckily enough, I had a friend who I got introduced to, that was actually like really good mates with James Sweet, who's our head coach, or like our head coach on the para snowboard team, and had worked through the Basie coaching institution. So I actually just got a direct link into him, and then I made a skating style sponsor me video, because I thought that's what you had to do. I didn't know you didn't have to do that, but that's what I did. And then I sent it to my to Sweet, who's obviously now my coach and top friend, close friend, top G sort of dude. And yeah, dude, he obviously put it over to the big bosses, and then I ended up having a meeting, and this was all during the start of COVID. Had to wait a few months, but got put on a training camp and got given an opportunity. The rest is history, And mate, they've been so helpful, so accommodating the whole time. They do the best they can to give you all the information you need to put in contact with the right people, and they want more numbers. So if you're interested, definitely go and give them a shout. GB
So is that basically how all this started? This Paralympic snowboarding started for you, from a skateboarding video that you sent to your coach Sweet?
Yeah, pretty much, dude. So
that's amazing, man.
I was looking at what people were up to in hospital, like snowboarding wise, come across all the Paralympics and got reminded of it. Come across the British team. It was in 2018 was my accident. So they'd just been represented in Pyeongchang for the first time, and so I kind of got fit again and stuff, and started having this idea of making a sponsor me video, and then as I was doing it, I went to go see a mate in Switzerland, who was a snowboard instructor, and he introduced me to his boss, which is this guy who was friends with Sweet. So I was already making this video, and then I was like, oh shit, well, I'm going to send you this video, and then he was like, yeah, please do, and that was that.
Wow.
I put a bit of motorbiking in there as well, so that like they could see I had like a speed, like I could do speed, and I didn't care about that.
Yeah.
And then
You're
and then
an
they were like,
absolute
dude,
nut.
that was so sick. Oh my God, I've done something like this before. And I'm like, oh, sweet. I didn't even know. And then the rest is history, dude.
That's
Now,
amazing.
now we're trying to, branch out as well, I guess. So tell us about that. I think we've still got a minute or two.
Yeah, man. So after the Paralympics, unfortunately, we lost our funding. Um, so it was getting quite expensive for me to keep skiing, and simply I just couldn't afford it, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but for me, like when one door closes, like three more open. As long as you have that mindset. And I'd always loved cycling. I'd always done cycling. From like a very small kid. Obviously, I've always ridden motorbikes. So for me, it was a sort of no-brainer to try and pursue that. So I went for a talent ID day, kind of fought my way on, and then yeah, just fell in love with the sport. And for me, it's just so accessible in Scotland. I get so much support from Scottish cycling, and also from the British squad as well. So I want to get to another Paralympics, but obviously summer this time. I'm fed up with the cold and the snow. Want to branch out and just do something a bit different. And for me, I think that's like the great thing about uh, Paralympic sport is that you can change sports and can be competitive and you can do that. Whereas Olympic, it's a little bit harder. But us paras get the opportunity, and you'd be stupid not to jump at it.
And the age gap is so much more broad, right? That it gives a lot more opportunity for anybody to do that wants to do a sport. You don't have to be like 18. I was 29 when I lost my leg. Do you know what I mean? And I'm now on a run like you to do another. How old are you?
So I'm currently 28. Just turned
You've got
28.
ages left.
Exactly.
Got
That's
ages
the
left.
beauty about para sport is you can just keep going for as long, pretty much as long as you like, and as long as you're
I've just turned 35. There's guys on there's some of the Japanese team, most of the Japanese team are even like or even older than us. They're in their like early 40s and they're still getting podiums, still getting better as well. They're not just like it's amazing. Like say if we just did Olympics like normal, we'd be done by 25, you know. We wouldn't have time to do another discipline either. We'd have done that from 3 or 4. That would be that.
So yeah, you'd be stupid not to try and get to one, get to as many Paralympics as you can, and two, just try as many sports as you can. Do you know what I mean? It's um, yeah, you're never too old to try something new.
And they've got programs within GB, within Team GB for people to do transitioning. So, if you you're on your way to now, or doing now, like they'll give you all the access support. They'll give you funding for a while to get yourself on your feet and to prove yourself, so you don't have to worry about that. All the financial stress. Are we? Oh, and how's it in terms of competitions now and for cycling? How's that gone for you? Is Paris on the cards?
For me, Paris isn't on the cards. It's a little bit too soon. Obviously,
Okay.
I've only been on program for just over a year.
Yeah.
And from going from a sport with 4 athletes on GB squad, like GBCT is a massive team, and they're all fighting for 10 spots at the games. So it's incredibly competitive on the actual race circuit, but also within GBCT as well. so it's a bit different. But yeah, we're still a wee bit away. But again, just need to trust the process and like keep plugging away. I've also went from a fully upper body sport to a fully lower body sport. Um, I know it's a bit of a mad one. Um, but again, you've just gotta take the opportunity when it comes, don't you?
Oh, and dude, and trust the process. You know, at the end of the day, nothing great's going to happen overnight either, and you understand that. It's just great to hear that you got that fire in you, and you're working on your way towards it, dude. You know,
Yeah,
you'll be there in no time.
absolutely. What about yourself? What's your goals for like future games? Are you just looking building up towards 2026 now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty pre pretty much, dude. We kind of had a bit of a quiet year this year in terms of competitions. I got myself fixed up a little bit as well in the last year. I had some shoulder troubles that I got sorted last year. I torn a load of muscles, like sort of three of them, and rotator cuffs and whatnot. So I was pretty mangled. I got sorted that out, and I actually had an operation recently, like 6 or 7 weeks ago now, on my stump to get rid of some chronic phantom nerve pain that I'd started getting due to some neuromas, which is when your nerves are basically grow out through the sheath and start touching the skin, and it's pretty
yeah,
unpleasant. Causes all that lovely electric shock stuff that we get sometimes. I was getting that for like the last year. So I had this operation called TMR reinnervation, and they basically chop the nerves and they attach it to a local muscle and give it like a purpose, complete the circuit. And then by doing that, it will make it happy again. And like you were saying, give it a purpose and a function, and it seems to make it better. So I'm just going through that at the minute and then getting fit. We got world champs this year, which is an event like the Olympics, which is every 2 years as opposed to every four. And it's a very big event on the calendar for us. So we got that this year, normal World Cup circuit, and going into looking forward to the games next in 2026, obviously in
yeah.
Italy, which will be rad. And then I'm hoping, dude, one day they sort out Paralympic skateboarding so I can start effing that stuff up.
Shredding on that as well.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Well,
JBM and me, we're super excited for that impending thing. Hopefully there's maybe some talk of it being in LA in 28. So I still need to get better as well. There's some really good skaters out there. But it's on its way, dude. Trust the process, as you say, you know. Um,
man. My big goal is LA in 2028. So we might cross paths again at a games. You never know.
oh yeah,
That would be
we
sick.
can do we can have a really crazy what's it like
Reunion.
we can yeah, what I was gonna say, we could do some like filming on the streets where you could like we could do some tricks on each other's stuff. You could do some skating, I could do some cycling, we could do some wheelies, you could toe
Well,
into some stuff.
I think I'd actually lose my other leg if I tried skateboarding, mate. Honestly, it's not a sight you want to see, honestly.
You got balance, G, you'll be fine. We can
Uh,
teach you the rest.
I'll trust a pro like yourself, like
So
um
LA 28 for you then, dude, on the
yeah,
box,
that's the
on the
goal. That's the
rostrum.
goal.
That's good to hear, though. Thanks for telling us, though, and obviously spending time with us today. Um, time with me today, talking everything and nothing at the same time.
Absolutely, man.
So,
Like I think I feel like the games is like a lifetime ago. So I mean it's been nice to hear what's going on in your life and just sort of relive some of those memories at the games because it was pretty amazing, eh?
oh, dude, it was so good. It was so good. We had such a great time, and it was so nice to be able to hang with you guys as well because we don't get to train with like the normal able-bodied team enough. We did at the very start when I joined, so we don't get to see any other teams and disciplines really. So to at least be able to hang out with you guys and watch a lot of in-betweeners and that was funny. Um, and all the random stuff that we did. So yeah, dude, it was so cool. And like you say, it was such a long time ago that I forget so much of it's happened already because you're always moving, you're always looking in the future and moving forward and keeping present. Like can't be everywhere at once, can you?
No, 100%.
We haven't worked out that multiverse yet.
No, you forget all the little stories, and it just takes like a little conversation like this to kind of relight them all, doesn't it?
Oh, dude, yeah.
Like batting around in mobility scooters in the Olympic Village.
Wheeling mobility scooters around the village was one of the funnest things that we did the whole time we were there, and round the food halls and stuff. Oh, happy
What
days.
What did we absolutely wrecked 3 of them, I think, didn't we?
No, no, of course we didn't. I
The
don't know what you're talking about.
snowboarders wrecked 3 of them.
No, we put them back in a really great condition. It was you guys, skiers, that wrecked all the mobility scooters.
Absolute redundant.
I'm sure I can. I don't know. I can't prove it though. You're gonna have to prove it.
Mate, I'm sure we had to confiscate one off of you lads because you broke the other 2, and we actually needed them because we were wrecked.
It does sound like something that would happen though to us, or something like we would, I think we would do that.
Oh, man.
Dude. So I guess we should wrap it up. So I guess the best way to do this would be, have you got any closing thoughts on or a closing piece of advice you want to give the listeners?
I think like younger Callum, I think just trust the process and just be keen. If you go somewhere with the right attitude and you're keen and you really want it, it will fall into place. But again, you just need to trust the process. And again, I think that falls into training, competing. As athletes, you want everything kind of here and now. But again, you just need to trust that process and just keep plugging away and trust that you are on the right path and that you are gonna make it.
No, but great words. Talked a bit about that as well. I can't resonate that more than what you said, in terms of that. And like, I guess mine would just be making sure that you find something that you want to pursue in this life and actually start that process so that you can trust something. And there's plenty of people that will give you any help and advice you need. You just have to have a look and see what you're trying to find out and look for. But I've had so much help on the way, and I've never come across anyone that hasn't wanted to try to do something if you ask them. So that would be my bit. And I guess on that note, thank you to everybody for listening to Callum and me waffle on for however long it's been, the last 45, 50 minutes or something. Hope you have a lovely, wonderful, blessed day.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.